If you're dreaming of designing the perfect baby nursery for your little one, but feel a little lost and overwhelmed with where to start, what's actually needed, and how to pull the idea in your head into a cohesive room, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome to How to Design Your Baby Nursery, a limited series podcast where we walk through the exact step-by-step process you need to move through to transform your Pinterest vision board into the perfect baby nursery reality. Everything that you hear on social media and from other design gurus is going to tell you that the nursery is for you. The baby isn't going to care until they're a toddler, so do what makes you happy and brings you joy. And yes, this is somewhat true. But if we focus first on what it looks like and making it a glamorous extension of our homes versus the functional relationships that need to occur, we're making our lives more difficult in the end and missing out on key design decisions that can be more easily converted as the child grows. This actually ties into the 7,000 plus curated and styled images you see on Pinterest. But what we forget is that most, if not all of these photos, are heavily staged. They have been dressed in a certain way for the best possible shot to appeal to you and to evoke an emotion. They are not set up to be super realistic to how the room would actually look and work when in use. And what this leads to is recreation of these rooms that haven't addressed the main core functions of a nursery. So when we go to use the space, once our little ones arrive, it doesn't quite work. We're left scrambling to get additional items we didn't know we needed, buying different products and things because what we purchased wasn't really practical, rearranging the room so that it works better to how we need it to work, and we start taking things out of the room because it's too much clutter. So instead, let's focus on the 3 to 4 main functions that a nursery has to hit: sleeping, nursing, changing and dressing, and later on down the road, engagement, like reading and play. And for each one to occur properly, there are relationships between them all. Sleeping relates to nursing, changing relates to nursing as well, dressing relates to sleeping, and engagement ties into the nursing area and room overall. A well-designed room has adjacencies from one function to the next that creates flow and ease within the room, without a lot of walking, clutter, or wasted space. It's like a condensed version of a kitchen working triangle. When we don't think about these relationships and how the core functions feed off one another, when we're laying out our rooms, we end up in situations where the crib is misplaced and is either right behind a door so it gets banged when opened, or the crib's right in front of a window, which leads to a draft, or the crib is just poorly located in general. Drapes that can't be fully closed because a large piece of furniture blocks them, too far of a distance between the nursing chair to the crib, a place for nursing needs and products not considered, everything tucked away rather than easily being accessible, lots of loose things on the floor like ottomans, tummy tie mats, stuffies, playthings. So what I want you to do instead is make a list of all the things that are needed for each of the core functions to work. Each of us is going to have a different view of what that might be and what we feel is needed. So do this specifically for you. Think of the action. What takes place in this function? So for instance, what exactly are you doing when you're feeding your child? And then think of the resources. What items do you need readily on hand for this function to work and create ease for you? So what exactly do you feel is needed for you to comfortably and easily feed your child? Do this for each of the core functions: nursing, sleeping, changing and dressing, and engagement. This will help you to see how you will be using that room, what you will be doing, and what is needed for it to really work. This might seem like overkill, but by going through this exercise, you are now better prepared to make decisions on the solutions that you need in that nursery space. Where and how are all of these resources and items going to be stored? How does this impact the thought process and direction of your nursery? Do you suddenly need more storage, more baskets, a movable cart? What is popping into your head as the possible solutions that check off the box of needed resources for those key functions? These solutions and items now get added to your priority list as well, because we know that X is needed to solve Y for the most efficient nursery possible. Now that we know what is needed in our nursery to be optimized, it's time to plan out the room. Where do we start and how do we go about making decisions on locations and placement? First step is to look at how you enter the room and your natural path of travel, and then where windows in your closet are located in relationship to the door. We then look at our crib location because the crib placement is going to dictate the other relationships. When thinking about where to place a crib, we need to think about a baby's health and development. We don't want the crib to be right in front of a window or too close to a window because a draft can make them sick. And as they get older, many are happy to hang out in the crib, chatter to themselves, and play around a bit and don't need to be picked up right away when waking. So we want to think about sight lines. A crib that is in direct sight line from the door means that when you pop your head in to check on the baby and they see you, they instantly want to be picked up. So we want to place that crib slightly off to the side from the main door so that when we peek in, the baby doesn't directly see us and we can close the door without them waking. Then we consider the nursing chair location. We ideally want the nursing chair as close as possible to the crib, so that when we're rocking them to sleep and they're at that cusp of drifting away, we can get up, walk 2 to 3 steps, and lightly place them down to sleep. We don't want to have to cross an entire room to put them down. The more you jostle them, the more likely they will be to wake up. Nursing chairs are also big pieces of furniture, so we're also paying attention to location of windows and air vents to make sure that the placement of this furniture piece still allows access to the window controls and ideal airflow. And if the chair needs to be located slightly further away to maintain access to these items, what does that look like and will it still work? The last item is the dressing changing area. It is last because it is a supplemental function that supports the other 2 main functions, meaning that its distance can be slightly further away from sleeping, nursing, and any additional storage in a closet, and it will not cause any major inefficiencies. Then we add in any of those supplemental items that we determined are needed from our priority list: shelving, movable carts, lights, bookcases, and we work their placement around the key functions. And that is how I would walk through laying out a nursery room. I've recorded an entire video that walks through this process in my specific nursery to give insight into the whys behind my decisions, as well as a few mock-up room layouts of standard room configurations to show you how I would work through this process and where I would place items. This video is only available through the workbook link, so head on over to GabriellaMilgrom.co/nursery, grab your copy of the workbook, and head to lesson 3 for the clickable link. We've now nailed our floor plan layout and thought process. It's time to start with the fun part, color and decor. Let's dive into episode 4. Thanks for listening. Make sure you grab your workbook for additional design prompts, questions, and video trainings. Head on over to GabriellaMilgrom.co/nursery to grab your copy. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at GabriellaMilgrom.co and tag me as you work through your own nursery design journey. Stay tuned for our next episode.